you, come. Come. You where they from say you be Nigerian citizen. Come, Kampiaze go Kosona. Okay, you think you're a Nigerian citizen? Don't worry. I'll go play one video for you now. You see this one, they regard themselves as Nigerian citizens, including me. They say we are Nigerian citizens. We are citizens. We are citizens. Okay? Now lepers. You go watch one video now, you go understand. People will be Nigerian citizens. They don't reach 10%. The others are lepers. Lepers. You know, because how can you call yourself a citizen and you are not entitled to what citizens are entitled to? You are a leper. You have been set aside. Lepers. What do we know them for in those days? Even now. Okay, lepers are not finding their way into the city. But then, they pursue them, set them aside. They do one place and mind their business. Anything we concern good governance, you know go reach them. Of course. You're a leper, you can never make it. Only 10%. I don't even think they are up to 10% of those that call themselves Nigerians are actually Nigerian. The rest have been set aside, classified as lepers. You know the interesting thing? Instead of the lepers coming together to ensure that they they get their rightful place in their country, they are busy fighting each other based on ethnicity, religion, tribe, and what have you. People that have been disenfranchised, grouped, stereotyped as lepers. Instead of them to find a common ground and fight for themselves, they are busy fighting on irrelevant issues. Are you Yoruba? Are you Igbo? Are you Arewa? May not be like I don't talk too much. Make could help me. The person will go explain this better for honor. Now Dele Farotimi, the retired lawyer that said he's no longer practicing law because law in Nigeria now paradise, now rubbish. So he's not practicing again. Say incautious no go get them to practice law inside this country, where the law that is being practiced is something else, not a law. The man said, no do again. Now wanna go here from now. Listen very well, oh. Listen carefully so that you go understand the point with him to make. Then come to the comment section and tell me if you are truly a Nigerian citizen or a leper. Even when I go to my passport, they look me for eye like this. Immigration, they tell me, say, this passport is not your right to. It's just a privilege. Make could help me watch this video.
I know you all tell yourself one very common lie. The commonest lie in Nigeria is your claim to citizenship. You tell yourselves that you are citizens, but it is a lie. It is only those who enjoy the immunity of impunity that are capable of enjoying Nigeria. If you do not have impunity, the capacity to live above the ambit of the law, you are a leper. Lepers were taken before the court in Abuja. Just I think a couple of days ago. Or was that yesterday? No, it was on Friday. They took lepers to a court in Abuja. And you know by law, if you go to the book of Leviticus, lepers are treated as being separate. Because if they were not separate, they should have equal access to justice. And I am sure that nobody should be required to tell a judge who is sworn to protect the weak that those are citizens, if they were citizens. Once upon a time, there was the delusion of citizenship in Nigeria. And that was before the leprosy of immunity or impunity meant that those who should be above the law are within the city gates. They are out, they are inside the city limits. Inside, they are in the city. The lepers, they were at the gate. Those are the ones excluded by society. And if you thought that was all, I'll remind you that those who were killed at Lekki Toll Gate, they were also lepers. That is why the society has continued to pretend that they did not exist, in spite of a judicial pronouncement of a massacre. So, lepers. The theme of leprosy, I know it might sound shocking to you, but the reality is that what makes the Nigerian a leper is the fact that he is excluded. The only thing that includes everybody is the rule of law. When the law does not rule, when you have exceptions, those exceptions can only be explained by something. Okay. If we ask ourselves, exactly what is the effect of leprosy? One of the first things that you notice with leprosy is that the leper's digits begins to fall off. So his capacities becomes limited. He can't even, Yorubas have a proverb, they say, abere bolo adete odete. It means that the needle fell off from the leprous finger. And now, he has no way of picking it up. So it becomes a quandary. That is the situation with the Nigerian. You go abroad, you are separated. They separate you at airports. Within Nigeria, the policeman looks at you like our dishonorable mascot. He looked at a boat driver. The average boat driver in Nigeria is a university graduate. 90% of the boat and Uber drivers in Nigeria, if not more, are university graduates or dropouts who could no longer afford to go to school because the system simply failed them. And then a person who says that he's a sworn representative. And you know the beauty of that situation? For a long time, lepers have had difficulties in identifying themselves in Nigeria. You have the lepers of Yoruba Ronu, who thinks is different from the lepers of Biafra. And then you have the lepers of Katsina, the Fulani peasant, who you will blame for all the woes of the South. So the lepers have had difficulties identifying themselves, and they have been busy fighting in the army of their enslavers. Now, mascot who assaulted the boat driver is Igbo. In the hierarchy of Nigerian impunity, the Igbo man is the lowest in that hierarchy, unfortunately so. But that is the reality. If that guy, mascot, if he was an Hausa or a Fulani man, we would not be united in condemnation of his evil. We would have been distracted by his ethnicity or religiosity, and we would have been debating that. If the king of Nigeria, who is sat within the city limit in Aso Rock, were to be a man from the Delta, when they brought the lepers to court in Abuja on Friday, Arewa would have gone crazy. But we have Mumu, Muslim. Nobody can preach about it, and everybody is suddenly silent. Let me say this. When we allow ourselves to ignore the fact that everything we hate, we also fear, then it becomes easy to recruit us into the armies of our oppressors to begin to fight on behalf of those who have enslaved all of us. I'll show you. A few months ago, a certain cross-dresser in this town was arrested for spraying money. There are numerous videos online where you find obas, politicians, governors, even presidents, ex-presidents spraying money. But of course, EFCC is not meant for the like of them. It is the lepers that the EFCC must find. And of course, who is more leprous than the one who does not look like you? So, we were all pressed into service in 18 Wotoporously to the point where we ignored that the law that was enforced against him is ignored in relation to others. Wotoporously, which is a paradox for Nigeria, the country we have all built, was now meant to go to jail. But of course, since the jail in Nigeria is meant for the poor and the weak, Wotoporously was able to assess the levels of injustice that is available to non-lepers. So he equalized with money. And then you begin this hypocritical belly aching that has run from the bowels of the disgraceful National Assembly, and they are having all kind of circuses. And we are all entertained, and we ignore that if it was available to the person we don't like, in relation to which we are now bleating, it was available to the murderers who could afford it. It was available to the armed robbers who could afford it. It was available to the kidnapper who could afford it. It was available to each and every one of the persons who could either afford it or who are members of the non-leprous class, whom the class is punishing and are sent to Kirikiri or other correctional or in-correctional centers. The important thing that we all need to understand in this case is that there is a commonality to this affliction that we forget when we convince ourselves to embrace the hatred by which we have been divided. Who are the Syrians? At least, I think by around verse 5, they start telling us about how the Syrians tents were there. So, who are the Syrians? The Syrians are your fears. The Syrians are the hatreds. All the things that you have used to divide yourselves, those are the Syrians. Everything that we desire as a collective, because I doubt that there is anything the Yoruba wants that the Igbo man does not want, or that the Ijaw man does not want, or that the Fulani man would dislike. We all want the same thing, but we are failing to see the commonalities. The Syrians represent our fears. Everything we desire is at the other side of our fears. Your fears also encapsulate your hatred. Like I said earlier on, it is impossible to love something and hate it. But you cannot ever fear anyone or thing without hating that thing. It is only God that you may fear. And I say this, myself and Daddy have had this discussion before. The proper word is not fear. You don't fear God. You reference him. Is referential awe. Respect, deep respect for his capacities, because it comes from you knowing him. You know what he can do. So you respect, venerate him. You don't fear God. It is reference, not in the fear of you are trembling. Even if you tremble before God, it's out of reference, not out of fear of injury. So let us be clear that everything that we seek is at the other side of our fears, of our hatred.
For over a decade, this has been the birthplace of innovation. Innocent Vehicles is a testament to resilience, employing international best practices to create more than just a car. Every vehicle here tells a story of durability, fuel economy and safety. Crafted with the African spirit, the Nigerian heart. These vehicles surrounding me embody the unique concept of regionalization, each one designed to cater to the tastes and preferences of our people. From the streets in Nigeria to the terrains of the Sahara, these vehicles are designed for our roads, for our people. This is more than a vehicle. It's a symbol of our progress, our resilience, our collective success story. Your feedback drives us to continuously innovate and improve. Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African roads.